Greetings YouTube, Simon here, welcome back to the channel and another Final Fantasy XVI video. Of course, the game has now been officially announced, it's all very exciting, and a trailer was released. If you have not yet watched that trailer, I would encourage you to do so. Now, the game may have only just been officially revealed, but of course, speculation on release dates have already begun. Jason Schreier, that is the journalist that has a whole bunch of sources up his arsenal, has informed us that the game has been in development for over 4 years, and is likely to release sooner than people think. Interestingly, I've just put up a poll on my own YouTube channel the last day or so, requesting what you guys believe will be released first out of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 or Final Fantasy XVI, and as you can see, over 1,000 people have responded, and quite a few of you do believe that Final Fantasy XVI will be the one, presumably because we've already had a gameplay trailer for that, which makes me think the release date might not be too far off. I'm still suggesting 2022 as my own prediction, but who knows, could be holiday 2021, but I just think that's a little bit optimistic at this point. But continue to share your thoughts on this topic of release dates down in the comments below. Now, I'm sure many of you, like me, already suspected this to be the case based on that first trailer, but apparently it does seem to be pretty much confirmed by this point that Final Fantasy XVI will be targeting a mature age rating. As screenshotted by Zell here over at Twitter, you may have received, if you're in the UK anyway, this email from Square advertising Final Fantasy XVI, and you can see at the bottom it has the PEGI 18 rated label. This particular rating will usually correspond to either mature 17+ or adults only 18+ on the US ESRB rating system. Now, contrary to a few articles I've already found online, this will not be the first Final Fantasy game to receive a mature rating. As a matter of fact, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD on PS4 also received a mature 17+ rating, but I do believe it is the case that 16 will be the first main numbered entry in the franchise that receives such a rating, if indeed this rating ends up being confirmed. Now, I don't think a mature rating would actually come as a huge surprise to those of us who have watched the trailer. We did get hints of it during that footage that was the direction that perhaps Square were going in. It does, however, lead to further evidence that Final Fantasy XVI is going to be moving away a little bit more from the traditional Final Fantasy style combat and games, and more towards perhaps a Devil May Cry style of combat. It was already confirmed, in fact, way back in June, that Devil May Cry 5 designer Ryoto Suzuki was moved over to the game that later became revealed as Final Fantasy XVI. And the trailer itself seems to show that maybe Final Fantasy XVI has moved away from traditional party combat and is instead going to be focusing on a single antagonist. Yeah, that was interesting. In one sense, you know, this might be kind of surprising because it seems Square actually found some solid footing with the combat mechanics in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which were a huge improvement over those in Final Fantasy XV. So, you know, changing things up here might seem to be a big risk, but let's be honest, the Final Fantasy franchise has never shied away from risk, with each new entry usually offering its own unique take on the various game systems. But would you folks be happy with the style of combat that the trailer seems to lend itself towards in Final Fantasy XVI? And also, what are your thoughts on the likelihood of a mature rating for the game? Do you think that's unnecessary, or is it really needed at this point for the franchise to move forward? But if you are a fan of the Final Fantasy franchise, then please feel free to check out my channel. I've got literally hundreds and hundreds of videos to keep you entertained. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.